Hi everyone, this is Leah from the Ida Public Library.
And this is Christy from the Ida Public Library.
Today we're going to be doing a video showing you guys how to do combat in Dungeons & Dragons. Combat's one of the things that might look a little overwhelming when you first see it, but there's some very basic steps to it, so we're actually going to show you a combat encounter or a battle, and we'll show you how that's going to work. So obviously when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, you will need, what you need for sure is you're going to need your character sheet, and you're going to need a pencil, and you'll need some form of dice. And you can have physical dice, or there's also online options you can use.
This is called Dice, and you can get it in the Google Play Store. I'm not entirely sure if Apple has it. I'm sure Apple Store has probably dice apps too, but this is the D20, and then you can add all of your dice, and then it's nice, and you just go like that, and it pulls for you, and that's that. So, and you can customize it. You can make the dice different colors, the background, the brightness, the gravity, all of that good stuff. So if you don't have your dice with you, or you forgot your dice, this is a really cool app on the phone that you can use to play.
And there's also, if for whatever reason you can't get this app, Google will also roll for you. So if you just Google something like roll 1d20, it'll bring you to this, and then you can see you've got all those dice there, and you can use as many as you need, and then you can clear them out when you're done. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be playing the role of the Dungeon Master today. The Dungeon Master is the one who rolls for the monsters as well as any non-player characters, which are characters that the main players are not playing but could be helping them out. They could recruit them to help them out.
And I will be playing, my character is Xana, and she is a rogue gnome, and she's a level 2. And so that's who my character is. And
we're going to have a non-player character is our human wizard, who's from actually is the wizard from our D&D to-go kits, Luchan and Rieth. So if you're interested in that, come on in and grab one of our D&D to-go kits. So today our adventurers, Xana and Luchan, are exploring this map. Now when you're doing a combat, you can have a map, or you can just do it, what they call it is theater of the mind, and you just imagine it in your head. If you're doing it in your head, you will have to ask your dungeon master, how far is that character, or how far is that monster, and things like that. But if you have a map, you can kind of see just how it is. Each of these squares is 5 feet. So that means one character can stand in each square. So our characters are going to be on this map, and they're exploring this dungeon, and looks like there are some giant rats, and they're very angry. So it looks like we're going to have to start a fight. The first thing you do in a combat encounter is it's called rolling for initiative. So everybody's going to roll 1d20. And as the dungeon master, I'm going to roll for Luchan and for the rats.
I got a 3.
Now, when you roll for your initiative, if you look at your character sheet, you've got a box that says initiative, and that's how much you get to add to your roll. So Luchan has a +0, so she doesn't get to add anything, and she rolled an 8.
And then I have a +2, so I get a 5.
So when you get your initiative, if you're the dungeon master, you're gonna write everybody down in order, and I'm gonna roll for the rats. Okay, the rats get a 14, so the rats get to go first. So you're just gonna go ahead, write down your initiative. Initiative means what order everyone gets to attack in, so you all take turns. So as you can see from this, the rats got the highest numbers, so they get to go first. So once you start fighting, you're going to go through a couple of steps. There's a couple of options you can do. Every turn, you can move and you can act. And if you have a bonus action, you can also do one bonus action. But a lot of your earlier characters are not going to have those. So all you need to worry about is moving and attacking. Now our rats have you're going to look at your speed. And you can see on my sheet, it's kind of small. Some sheets do it bigger. My speed is Luchan's speed is 30 feet, and that's how fast the rats can move too. What that means is they can move 30 feet in one movement.
And mine's 25 feet.
So again, remember these squares are each 5 feet. So if each one's 5 and they can move 30, that means that they can go 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So this rat's gonna run forward. And now the rat wants to attack. As the dungeon master, again, I'm going to roll for the rats. When you want to attack, you have to roll to hit. So that's another D20, another 20-sided die. Again, you're going to, and then again, for attacking, you're going to look at your sheet and look at the hit bonus. That's how much you get to add to your attack. Now the rats don't get to add anything. They just have a +0. Our this rat rolled a 15. So now we're going to check 15 against our character's armor class.
13.
All right. So Zana's armor class is 13, which means that it does hit. So the rats damn it. Then again, we're going to keep rolling dice. It seems like a lot of dice, doesn't it? So since the rats attack was a higher roll than the armor class, that means it hits. So our rat gets to roll for damage. Damage is a much smaller die. The rats get to roll a D4 for damage. Okay, so we rolled, that's a 2. So that means the rat does 2 damage to Zana.
Okay.
And you can write that on your sheet. You can see there's the max HP, and you can write your current HP right here.
Okay, so mine would be 15. My starting hit points were 17, so it took 2, so it's 15. And that's what I have currently.
Then the next rat's going to attack. He's going to move. First, he's going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's less than 30 feet, so he can move there. And he's going to try to bite Luchan now. So again, going to roll a D20. And that is a 14. And we can see Luchan's armor class is 10. So she's definitely going to get a bite there. So the rat's going to go ahead, roll damage. He's going to do 4 damage.
Oh, poor.
You see Luchan has 8 HP. So we lose 4 and we're down to 4. And now it's Luchan's turn. So Luchan is actually a wizard. Spell casting can be a little tricky, so you might want to have, if you have spells for your character, I recommend copying them down somewhere so you can just look at them quickly. Because you can see in our Dungeons & Dragons To Go kit, we have these nice little spell cards that you have a list of all the spells your character's going to have, and you can look at all of them. So once you look at, you're going to pick a spell. And you know, Luchan does not like that all these rats are here. So Luchan is actually going to cast the sleep spell. Now how you cast spells, you're going to have to read. So if you read the spell, now this spell is telling me that I have to roll 5d8. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to roll all 5 of those. Now that's 21. So according to this writing, the total that I roll is how many hit points of creatures this spell can affect. So you're going to tell your DM that you rolled a 21. The DM is going to look at the hit points of the rats. And let's say both these rats have 10 HP. So that means 21 is higher than 20. So both the rats are going to fall asleep. So now the rats are asleep, and you can continue to read that these rats are going to stay asleep until it takes damage. So the rats can't move until they take damage. That's the end of Luchan's turn. She's not going to move. So now it is Zana's turn.
Okay, I am going to attack this little guy here, or this big guy here. I'm gonna do the dagger. Okay, so, alright. So I just roll. Okay, 19.
So then, yeah, you tell your DM what you rolled for your attack. The DM will check the rat's or the monster's armor class. The rat doesn't have a very high armor class because he's not wearing armor and he's asleep. So 19 is definitely going to hit. So I will tell Zana to roll for damage. And again, when you're looking at your attacks here, it'll tell you the damage, which is, so you can see this one is 1d8. So you'll roll a 1 8-sided die for that one. It'll also tell you damage type. That doesn't always matter, but sometimes your DM might ask you, what type of damage is it? And it might do extra damage.
So mine was a 2, and then +2 for piercing, so a 4.
All right, so this rat took 4 damage, and this rat is now awake because it took damage. So that's basically how to go through combat. Now you keep going until you've defeated the monsters, until their HP, their hit points, has hit 0. Once they've hit 0, that means the monsters have been defeated. They've been either knocked unconscious or they've been killed. So then combat is over. Now what happens, let's say, if one of your characters dies, or one of your characters hits 0 HP. Let's say this rat that's awake decides to run over here. And I'm not going to roll for this because we just want to show you. But let's say that the rat manages to roll another 4 points of damage. And if you remember, Luchan only had 4 left. So if Luchan has 0 HP, don't worry. She's not dead yet. Now you have to roll what's called death saving throws. Now a death saving throw, each time Luchan's turn comes up, she's unconscious. She can't do anything right now. So you've got a couple of options. On Luchan's turn, she can roll a 1d20. So on a death saving throw, you're going to roll a 1d20. And if it's a 10 or higher, it's a success. If it's 9 or lower, it's a failure, which looks like I rolled a 9. So I'm going to go ahead, you see this little box here, so the death saving throw box, I'm going to check off 1 on the failure. Now if I fail 2 more times, Luchan actually does die, and I'm going to have to make a new character. But if I succeed 3 times, then she's still unconscious, but she gets 1 HP back, and so she can get back on her feet. Another thing that you can do is Zana can actually decide to roll a medicine check for Luchan.
Medicine plus 19.
So a 19 is very high. It's almost a 20. So this is really going to come down to what your dungeon master decides. But since I'm the dungeon master here, I'm going to say that Xana's first aid attempt worked, and Luchan has 1 HP. She's now back on her feet. Of course, there's always also healing. So if you have a cleric or somebody with a healing spell on your team, they can heal your unconscious character. And as long as their roll for their healing is more than the negative hit points, your character can come back. And that's pretty much all you need to know about combat. There are some other fancy things you can do. You can see on this list of actions, there's a lot of fancy words here. But there are other places you can check to see how that all works. Right now, today, we just wanted to make sure that you saw basically how a combat round works and the steps that you would take. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments or ask. And you can always join our D&D server for Dungeons & Dragons, which we'll have a link to in our description here. If you'd like to play D&D with a group, you're always welcome to join us. We're always looking for new people to join in our adventures. All right, well, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and we'll hope to see you in the server.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.